Hey everybody, welcome back to Sunday Afternoon Smokes, your casual conversation podcast from the upstate of South Carolina. My name is Chris. I'm your host. I'm a realtor. I'm also the owner and operator of the Cigar Box, a mobile cigar bar that serves the upstate and beyond. If you've been enjoying SAS for short, I'd appreciate it if you drop me a review. Today, I have the opportunity to sit down for a chat with Brian Stearns. Brian, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been an honor to work with you over the past couple of years at some of our events, and so really excited to just talk shop with you here today.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time, and thanks for having me out here to the campus for events and for this podcast. So I like to let my guests introduce themselves.
Yeah.
So take a minute, say as much or as little about yourself as you like, and while you do that, I'm going to light my cigar.
There you go. And I've already lit mine, so it's we're cruising pretty well here. Let's see. I'll try to give you the Cliff Notes version, but I grew up in Concord, North Carolina, went to undergrad at App State. I was there when App State beat Michigan, won those back-to-back championships. So it was a pretty amazing time as a 19 and 20-year-old to be in college in Boone, North Carolina. Was actually up in Ann Arbor at the big house when App won. So like one of my all-time favorite memories. And just had the best experience living in the mountains. I think that's, where I started to enjoy a little bit of the nightlife and music and cigars and some other things as I sort of became a bit entrepreneurial, selling T-shirts and started a DJ business. So that was kind of early on in the career. Quickly graduated and was sort of jumped into corporate. It wasn't what I wanted to do. I had plans of being a DJ on Carnival cruise ship and even received an offer, but was sat down and told by my parents if I took that I'd need to pay back all 5 years of college. So decided to go the route of taking the corporate job. Really didn't want to do it, but ended up finding myself working in the Home Depot down in Atlanta, Georgia for Ryobi Power Tools, and spent about a year as a field sales representative just out of college. But it ended up being pretty cool. I was given a truck and a gas card and a cell phone and got to travel a little bit and really learn an industry and a retailer, the Home Depot, like never before. I was really just immersed in the aisle there and became obsessed and just totally overwhelmed by big box retail and the power tool industry and the home improvement and hardware space. So I was, pretty much got to a point of like, hey, let's do this. I think I can make a career out of marketing, tools and construction materials to pros and DIYers in this space. And I can find a way to still do the DJ thing on nights and weekends and have fun as an outlet for that as a side hustle. So I did. For 10 years, I continued to play weddings and do all types of events as a side hustle under the DJ name Johnny Ringo. And also...
I see a theme.
Yeah. And then also, so like literally walking the line between corporate and nightlife, and was able to build up a career and eventually became the director of digital marketing for the Ryobi brand. And that was in Anderson, South Carolina, just 2 hours north of Atlanta. And so, continued to spend a lot of time in the Southeast. Went back to school at age 30. I thought I was going to get an MBA to get promoted at corporate. Ended up getting inspired in the classroom to start a business. We had a project to present a business plan. I just came up with Ringo Fire in the classroom, presented it, fell in love with it, and actually took it a step further and turned it into a company that, we're sitting at today. So that's, I think, kind of in a nutshell, where things have gone and how they've progressed, and can fill a little bit of it in between for you here as we chat. But yeah, thanks for giving me that opportunity.
Absolutely. So we can't go back to the past and look forward. You just know the decisions that you've made have brought you to the point you are now with a lot of hard work and passion. However, did you ever regret not taking the Carnival DJ job?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember it vividly, like a documentary on Netflix. I was driving down 85 to go to this interview that my parents had helped me, set up, because my cousin at the time was the director of marketing for Hoover Vacuums, which was a brand that TTI owns. They owned Hoover, Dirt Devil, Ryobi, Milwaukee, and Rigid Tools. And so they all helped me line up this, interview down in Atlanta. I didn't want to go. I had just received the offer from Carnival. I'm driving down the highway. I pull over at an exit. I'm sitting there at the gas station thinking, like, what am I about to do? Like, I'm going to end up taking this corporate job, or I can turn around and go back home and, be a little bit of a rebel and just go live on a boat for 6 months. I don't know. Something pulled me south. I just, refueled on the gas there and just continued to head to the interview. The interview went well. And I think everything lined up for a reason. But yeah, I always think back to that day. And there was even 3 months into the job, I left the Home Depot, went out to my work truck in the parking lot, sat there. I think I got a little emotional, and I was like Googling and searching for this lady's name who had initially made me the offer at Carnival, trying to find a way to get a hold of her. Because in that moment, I was just like, shit, like I should have taken that. But, things kept pushing me forward into the power tool space, into the home improvement industry. And I'm really glad that I stayed that course. And I just figured out how to have my fun and have that outlet as a side hustle with music and other things along the way, and to build a bit of a portfolio in an industry that I've grown to love.
Yeah. So what did you go to school for?
I started out at Appalachian State as a music major. Quickly decided I didn't want to teach music, so I jumped into public relations and communications. And, that was sort of a degree they said at the time you could do anything with. And so I really had no clue what I wanted to do, though. And I teach today, and I remind students, like, stop feeling the pressure of knowing what you have to be. I mean,
right.
I didn't figure it out till I was 30 years old. You don't have to know going into college what you want to do. Go to college for the experience. The degree is great, but just go have a good time, meet some great people, learn a few things. But do that for the experience, not the degree.
I just didn't know if you had a plan going into college and it was, got my degree and I'm going to go work in the field for which I have the degree, and your parents were like, you need to use that degree because DJing is a waste of time.
Yeah.
But you went into, App State, got your degree, and still didn't know what in the world you were going to do with it.
Still didn't know what I wanted to do with it. Ended up in power tools. Really never swung a hammer or fired up a chainsaw or anything like that before either. So, ended up getting a degree in something I wasn't super passionate about. Ended up getting a job and a career that I really didn't know anything about. So I look back now, and it really is like, hey, it's the experience. It's not necessarily the education. I think the education comes from the things that you do, not necessarily having that pressure of like, going to school to be an accountant, then you have to work at a bank. 15 years later, you're like, why the hell am I working at this bank? I see people fall in that path all the time. So, I mean, now's the golden age of like having a startup and even like a third startup and a side hustle and other things. I mean, everyone's got something else they're brewing on the side. Even if you work in corporate, you're managing an Airbnb or you're firing up a hot dog stand downtown. I think that's kind of that entrepreneurial spirit I see here in Greenville and beyond is really inspiring too, that you don't have to be what you studied to be.
Sure. I think very few people actually are.
Yeah.
Unless it's a very high level profession.
For sure.
Like, I mean, if you're a doctor, well, yeah. If you're a lawyer, of course. But, the run of the mill people generally wind up working at some other job than what they went to school for, I suppose. Like those positions, not just those positions, but people that went to a trade school.
Yeah.
They're doing and that makes sense. But people like me, and people like you, you wind up doing God knows what. But back to Appalachian State, sounds like something you said there. That's kind of like where your introduction to cigars began.
Yeah.
So were they? I would like. How did you get started? Do you remember?
Oh gosh, I got started after a fifth of Jack and a pack of Black and Milds, I think is what it was. Geez, I don't know. It was just a time where I feel like I truly could become myself. I grew up in a great household, a wonderful family setting, church 2 or 3 times a week. Really good upbringing, but had that moment that I think a lot of young people have when they go off to school, and it's just like, oh hell, like let's crank it up a notch. Let's start living and let's explore and let's have a good time. And, I got really into music and it wasn't just live performances. It was classical. It was like learning to play instruments. It was going to see concerts. It was hosting performances. And that's what got me into DJing and playing in a couple of little, like garage bands. And I think you get into that scene and that social setting. And, after I wasn't a cigarette smoker, and everybody at the time I was in college was smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
So I picked up cigars, and that just kind of became my thing. And I created this persona of Johnny Ringo, the party DJ and the host and the ultimate entertainer, and was doing tailgate events. And that sort of just became like a signature: wear all black, have the boots on, have a cigar, and just show everybody a good time. And you see a lot of musicians and like actors and artists sort of find that persona and own it, to be that host or to be that entertainer. And that's what I ended up doing.
Yeah. But obviously cigar smoking has stuck with you. Still a cigar smoker today. You are like, I'm smoking the EP Carrillo New Wave Connecticut. It's a good cigar, Ecuador wrapper, Nicaragua binder filler. You're smoking Carlos Torano Dominico. So you've got a Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper and Dominican filler. I mean, it'd be nice and mild, medium.
Yeah,
probably on the milder side, honestly.
Yeah,
and you opted for the mild to medium cigar for the early afternoon work day. I mean, is that where you like to be? Do you smoke heavier cigars later, or is this kind of where you like to live?
Thing you've just introduced me to something new. Coming out to this patio and having a 1 o'clock like mild to medium cigar. I really actually enjoy this. I think I get so wrapped up in the day to day. I'm shooting espresso and pounding coffee just to keep moving. This could be a cool new alternative.
Yeah.
My typical cigar smoke is after 6 o'clock, once I'm home in the backyard with the dogs, or on a weekend as I'm grilling some chicken, just kind of unwinding. Like Netflix is for some people, lighting a cigar is for me, as far as just checking out, putting the phone down and not being bothered by emails or text or anything else chaotic going in the world. It's sort of a relaxing and meditation type of a experience.
Yeah, that's like the whole aura of what a cigar is supposed to be.
Exactly.
Right? I'm just going to put everything about my life on hold for an hour.
Yeah.
And I'm going to check out, and I'm going to do something that I enjoy. I'm going to de-stress. I'm going to forget about whatever it is you need to forget about. Yeah. And like you said, whether it's like you're grilling some chicken, you're smoking a pork butt, you're hanging with your dogs, you're whatever. But I mean, and you could even find a smaller cigar than that size for a 45-minute middle of the work day. Let me just right here on this. This is a great spot for it.
It is.
It really is. How often do you smoke?
So, during the pandemic, I feel like I was probably going through
a lot of people
4 or 5 cigars a day, probably doing 4 or 5 bottles of wine a week too. I think at one point I found myself in my Google history, like, how many bottles of wine can you have on a Saturday? Because we were just like stuck at home and not doing anything. And, I was just trying to, we're all trying to get through it in any way that we could, as far as the stress of work and things happening in the world and loved ones not being well and not knowing what to expect the next day. So again, a coping mechanism or a meditation or some way to just escape was through just enjoying time in our backyard. That was a reason that Ringo Fire actually did really well. And we don't boast or brag about it, but most of our clients are outdoor products or things you buy at Lowe's or Home Depot. So at a time when the world shut down, all you could really do was upfit your house or, get a new grill or mow your lawn or just do things around the home, paint your garage, put in some new tile. These are the brands that we work with today. So they were doing actually pretty well. We didn't know that was going to happen at the start, but that trend picked up and our backyard became our oasis. And for me, it was just having that fire pit and a couple cigars to sort of just relax and unwind when times were tough and people were stressed.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Now, before the show, you asked me, you said, what are 3 things I should know about cigars when wanting to impress someone or share some knowledge around a campfire or a steak dinner? It sounds like you know your way around wine pretty well.
A little bit. Yeah. I would say I know my way around wine and just business conversation and generally just being a good host to a group of people. But as long as I've smoked cigars, I feel like I don't really offer any true education or reasoning behind, the wrapper. So I would think
Yeah.
it would be fun to just know some tidbits or some basics.
Sure.
So you got to tell me, like, what are the three cool things or the best couple of knowledge
Sure.
points to know?
Well, I've got some lined up here for you, and we can take some time to explore these, and you can ask follow-up questions and all of that. But I just thought of a few things off the top of my head. So like you opted for a V cut today. I went for a guillotine cut, and then there's a punch cut. So those are the three main cuts that you can put on a cigar. There's other goofy things people do out there when cutting their cigar, but like when cutting your cigar, and this only applies to a guillotine cutter. And if you're listening to this podcast and you don't know what a guillotine cutter is, I mean, it's a straight cut. Just like a guillotine, just a vertical cut, right? There, a punch is a circular cut in the back of the cigar. A V cut cuts a little valley into the cigar. So, but when you're using a guillotine cutter, you really only need to literally just shave the end.
Yeah.
I see guys like this, and you won't see this because this is a audio only podcast, but that's literally all I cut off.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's like a shave of garlic.
Exactly. Like you don't, because when you're cutting your cigar, literally all you need to do is open up an airway.
Yeah.
So there's no need to cut a 1/4 inch or something absurd
all the time.
So you already knew that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and part of the reason behind that is like when they're rolling the cigars and they're putting on that wrapper leaf, which is the outside leaf that you see with your eyes, right? At the very end, they will use like a vegetable gum or a pectin on the edge of that and roll it up so it sticks together. But they don't always run it on the entire edge of that wrapper leaf. So if you cut too far down on the cap, you roll up a piece of paper into a cylinder, it'll just unwind. You'd have to put something on top to keep it together. That's what the cap of the cigar is there for.
Yep.
So if you cut too deep, there's a chance your cigar can start coming unwound. Yeah. So you really only need to just just shave it. You don't need to do a whole lot to it, right? And like I said, but with a punch cutter or a V cutter, that's irrelevant because you're only cutting. You're not getting down that way. So that's one thing. Number two, when you're lighting your cigar, you are really looking for more heat than you are flame. Okay. These butane torches right here, I mean, those burn at like 2,500 degrees, right? It's super hot.
Yeah.
Super hot. And you don't, and I've said this ad nauseum probably on the podcast, so listeners bear with me, but when you smoke a cigar, what you're tasting is the natural sugars and the natural oils that's in the tobacco leaf.
Yep.
Which means when you light it, you don't want to burn it because it can start off tasting very bitter. And you would know it if you've done that. If you've ever started a cigar and it's very bitter, you might have burnt it. What you really want to do is, admittedly, it's more difficult to see during the sun in the day.
Yeah.
In the evening, when you can see your flame, it's a lot easier. But I'll try and demonstrate. Like you really just want like this distance. I really just need the very tip of the flame to be in contact with the foot.
Got it. You're not roasting a marshmallow.
Exactly. We're just kind of, that's why they call it toasting the foot, right? We're not in here just blasting the bejesus out of it. We just really want to warm it up nice and good, begin to loosen up the sugar and the oil so we can taste what we're smoking. So we're not trying to burn it because burnt anything tastes bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. I love that.
Okay.
Those are two great pieces of knowledge I'll be able to share around the campfire or the dining room table. I love that.
And then number three is that just because a cigar is mild in its flavor profile doesn't mean it's not going to be punchy.
Yeah.
Right? Like the flavor profile of a cigar does not equal the strength of a cigar because the strength of a cigar is related to nicotine content.
Yeah.
but there's no way to know how much nicotine content is in a cigar by looking at it. Like the color profile of your cigar will give you a general understanding of what you're going to taste.
Yep.
But the nicotine content of your cigar, which equates to the strength, that all depends on which leaves off of the tobacco plant the manufacturer uses for that particular blend.
And they don't put that on the wrapper, do they? So, or you don't know that?
No, there's no way to, like they, so, and I've talked about this before, like, a manufacturer will make a cigar and it will go through who knows how many different iterations of them toying with leaves, because they're it's like a chef making a recipe.
Yeah,
it really is. And once they get it exactly where they want it, with X amount of Ligero and Viso and Seco and Velato and all of that, and those are the sections of the tobacco plant.
Yeah,
right. Once they get all of that together to their finished product, they're not going to give that out.
Yeah,
just like a chef, he's got a banger of a recipe that's a secret.
Exactly.
Yeah, so there's no way to know how much Ligero is in this cigar, and Ligero is the very top of the plant. Which are you educated on that, on the tobacco plant?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I mean, the more Ligero they're going to put in it, the zippier it's going to be. But it could still be a Connecticut cigar.
Yeah,
but they've grown it. It's Connecticut seed, but they took the top leaves off the Connecticut, which has the most nicotine. So it's going to be mildly flavored, but it can still be punchy
for sure.
So, but you obviously knew some of that, but that's just a little bit of cigar talk there.
Good. No, I appreciate it. It's good to have some added knowledge, and I was hoping to walk away from the podcast with that. So some good things I can chat around as I'm hosting, a future hangout. I've got a lot of wonderful young people who work here, and I'll occasionally bring a box of cigars out. And I see them doing those things you just mentioned immediately. They're cutting half the damn tip off. They're torching it and trying to get it started, and then they get halfway through it and throw it down. I don't think that that you don't go through cigar education like you do sometimes with like a wine tasting, and so that's even a culture and an experience that I think we could start to incorporate a bit more as the craft of cigar smoking continues to become more popular in a really positive way.
Yeah. Well, not just that, but like you said, some of the young people, and you bring in some cigars, they don't really know what they're doing, like whether it's cutting or even lighting. But I've seen guys, like, they'll light their cigar and then they'll turn on the side and they'll like do it around the edge of the wrapper. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Like because you taste a lot of wrapper. That's what you put in your mouth. Like, you put the whole thing in, but your lips and your tongue are all on the surface of the wrapper. You just really need to light your cigar not perpendicular, but straight on.
Yeah.
You don't want to burn up the edge of the wrapper.
Yeah.
Because you're going to taste that and it's going to be bad. So when you bring in, what are some of your go-to cigars?
Oh man, it's all across the board. And that's part of the reason I asked you to give me a little bit of education, is because for me, it was the same way with wine 10 years ago. I started hosting these dinners and these events with potential clients, and you want to break out something that's going to impress them. And I sort of was learned by trial of how to, sample and taste the different types of wine. So for me, it just started out like ordering some of these variety packs and getting an idea of, the different types and the styles that I enjoyed. But there's not really like a go-to. I think early on in my corporate career, I had a boss and a mentor who taught me like some of that, Alec Bradley, that's a popular one. Yeah. That was like a, sort of a brand and a flavor that was his go-to. So started to smoke some of those, and then just figuring out, everything from the Cohibas and Romeo and Juliet and all the different names out there and how they have different styles and different levels and things. It's just been a continued education for me. Still, even though I feel like I've been smoking for 10 or 15 years, I still feel novice to it. Mm-hmm. And which is part of the reason I'm just obsessed with it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I understand that feeling. I mean, I probably know more than your average Joe, but I still feel like a beginner.
Yeah.
Because it's such a deep well.
Yeah.
Just like wine or bourbon.
Sure.
Or whatever.
Yeah, I think I know wine, and then I go down to Carl Sobocinski's cellar at table 301, and I'm just in a whole new universe. Mm-hmm. So I think that the cigar rabbit hole is quite the same, which is, I appreciate that, because if it were limited, or if it were surface level, like light beer, or seltzers, like, then where do you go from there? Come on.
Yeah, I hear you. Do you have a humidor at home?
I have one here at my office. My team bought me one a couple years ago for my birthday. It's a small one, shoebox size, just keeping some basic cigars around for celebratory moments, which we'll do if we land a big account, or we have a great meeting, or sign a new contract. There's a reason to pop some champagne and come out here on this patio and have a cigar.
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. How are you? So, your desktop humidor here at the office, is it stocked? Is it like always stocked?
It's always stocked. Yeah, I've got some friends here who help me keep it full, and even some visitors, as we have annual events, will now show up and bring me cigars, which I'm like super humbled and thankful for. But that keeps it stocked too.
Yeah,
we do this annual hardware show called Hardware Huddle. We do a fish festival called Shrimp Fest in the fall, and some of the regulars know that that's kind of a go-to thing for me, and will gift me with a couple of their favorites, and they just get tossed in there, and it keeps a nice selection throughout the year for me. So I love it.
That's a good spot, man. I love this campus and what you guys can do here for all the events, but especially for the cigars, because you have this property, it's private property, so you can do whatever you want, versus, because it's hard to do with cigars, it's hard to do things in Greenville.
It is.
It really is.
Our first office was downtown Greenville in the old Liberty building, the tall 10-story brick building, beautiful building across from the Poinsett Westin. And you can't just have a cigar there, and you're not really allowed to kind of light them up downtown. You've got to find these little special nooks and crannies, which we did. But we had a very tiny patio out the backside of that building that was approved for smoking. And it was about a 10 by 10 foot space hidden by a little garden, and it wasn't visible to downtown. So if you're walking around downtown and you need a little cool spot to grab a stogie, it's right there across from the Jones Oyster Bar. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to promote this, but it is a permitted place to enjoy a cigar, or maybe something else. Yeah,
sure. Well, it should be promoted. Like, cigar smokers need to have knowledge and a place to go.
We need
not at home.
Maybe there is an app for that. Like places you can take your dog, like places you can have a cigar in Greenville.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, outside of the known, outside of the known cigar lounge,
like some hidden gyms or little sanctuaries that you can just enjoy without feeling like somebody's going to say something. Yeah,
sure. No, that's a great idea. So, all right, some techie listener who's thinking about developing an app, there you go. Cigar friendly location. I don't know. Come up with a cool name, make it happen. We'll promote it on the podcast. I'll promote it in my business, the Cigar Box. Yeah. I don't know. We'll do something.
I love it.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Speaking of the Cigar Box, I want you to experience the ultimate in cigar luxury brought directly to your event. The Cigar Box offers a curated selection of premium cigars, expert recommendations, and a sophisticated mobile cigar bar experience on wheels. Perfect for weddings, corporate events, and private parties. Visit mobilecigarbox.com today. Learn about the business, fill out the booking inquiry form, and I will be in touch with you as soon as possible. So we are here today sitting on the Ringo Fire campus, and I know you a little bit from the very first Shrimp Fest in 23. You mentioned your Hardware Huddle, which I was here just a few months ago for that. That was fun. But tell us a couple things and we'll get into it. Tell us what Ringo Fire is and does, how people can follow your company on social media, and what's the best way for them to get in touch with Ringo if they're interested in the services you provide.
Yeah, great question. Ringo Fire is a national marketing and advertising agency. And like we mentioned earlier, I predominantly support brands in the hardware and home improvement space. Now we've got partners and clients anywhere from food and bev on over to tech and sports and leisure. But I'd say a core of our business are going to be products that you find at a Lowe's or a Home Depot. And one of our biggest partners today is Lowe's. If you follow Lowe's on social media, our team is helping them create a lot of content that you'll see on their Instagram stories and reels. And we're really proud of that. I mean, we're a 6 or 7 year old business, and to have an account like that is pretty amazing for the team. This crew has worked their tails off to get to where we are. We're sort of the underdogs when it comes to big agencies in town. And so we've got something to prove. And if folks are interested in working with us, our services include helping brands big and small with digital marketing, advertising, content creation, photo, video, working with influencers, and social media management. We know content is king. Video content is super king. And so that's stuff you've got to have constantly as a business or a brand to promote who you are. We're not buying things off the television anymore. We're buying things off of other people that we call influencers or content creators. So a lot of the work that we do today is seeding products to folks who are plumbers or roofers or contractors or chefs who are going to promote a product in a natural way, not so much like the Truman Show, but just incorporating it into their everyday life. And so, yeah, I mean, if people are interested in hearing more about Ringo Fire or how we can support them, they can just go to ringofire.com or reach out to us through our social media, and we'd be happy to meet with them. And if you've got a smaller concept of a business, we have a company here on campus called Campfire, and it's the sister agency to Ringo that just helps support local coffee shops, breweries, pet spas, realtors, lawyers, that kind of thing. So we like to be able to, juggle both and help whoever comes knocking at the door with those types of services.
Yeah. So a couple of words, and you've said it, and I've been thinking about it while I was preparing for the episode today. Like, we use the words advertising and marketing, but you live in this industry, you've been in it a long time. I just kind of feel like those words are synonymous, but maybe in your world there is some differences between marketing and advertising. Is there?
I think today you could throw public relations, marketing, and advertising into a pot and boil it all together, and that's just what it is. I mean, it's bringing attention to a brand, product, or person for the purposes of drawing attention or inspiring a sale. And so it's, for us, it's sort of all the same. It's storytelling.
Yeah.
And that can be through a person or an influencer. It can be through a form of media like BuzzFeed or Barstool. Or it can just be through a targeted ad that's directed at somebody. We're not really working on campaigns that are just set and massively published across, the state of South Carolina. We're working on campaigns who are targeting people by age group, by neighborhood, by demographic, by the type of car they drive and the type of dog they have. And that's the world we live in today. And that's, it's just, for us, it's fun. For other people, it's creepy. But it's all those things blended into one. I think, historically, 30 years ago, advertising was running, a form of, print or TV or radio that evolved into the internet, which kind of mashed everything up, which evolved into social media, which today has evolved into influencers. And so it's, like I said at the rip, it's storytelling. And whatever you want to call it, that's really what we do. We're content creators as an agency, helping brands tell their story in one way or another.
Yeah. So did you watch the show from a couple years ago, Mad Men?
I did. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm and I did it. I just kind of know it's about marketing. What is that, like in the 50s?
Yeah, I
think it like that.
Oh, it was in the 50s, 60s, and early 70s.
Okay.
Yep.
So as a guy who this is your profession, watching a show in this time period, like, what was your take on it? How did you, like, from a, I don't know, just what I was gonna say, technical work aspect, but just, I'm curious because you're in that field and looking back at it.
Yeah. I mean, those were the true traditional times of big brand advertising, and it was cutthroat from what I know. I mean, obviously didn't live it, but the stories you hear from mentors in the space and from shows like Mad Men, I mean, that was the stay up all night, get the pitch ready, nail it the next day, and still don't go to bed. I mean, it was big money. It was the birth of tobacco. It was the birth of beauty products. It was the birth of retail. I mean, so many big ticket brands were coming to life during those times that money was just being pumped into these ad campaigns for the competitive factor. It was Coke versus Pepsi. It was Marlboro versus Parliament. I mean, it was all these brands like just trying to rip each other's throats out. And the only way they knew to do it was throwing money at it in the form of big campaigns. And that's all you saw. And so today it's so targeted, and it doesn't even come across as an ad. Or if it's good, it shouldn't. It should come through your TV, your phone, your Apple Watch as something very organic, and it connects with the lifestyle that you live. And that today is brilliant advertising and or marketing.
Yeah, I mean, it's super targeted. Like if you want to run some kind of campaign, you can hook up with somebody, maybe Ringo, I don't know, but like you come in and say, this is my product, but I want to hit people that live in $2 million+ houses. Their cars are $250K and more. They're wearing Rolex watches. Like, this is who I want to go after.
Yeah.
And y'all can make it happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is wild.
It is. Yeah. We can even dial it into the smart TV per room in somebody's house. Like,
really?
We can have a certain ad target somebody in a living room versus, let's say you've got a TV out in the garage, based on time of day, based on neighborhood, based on, who's watching it. The phone captures everything, whether we can accept that or not.
It's always listening.
We're always connected. Unless you totally live off the grid, everybody knows, your data is out there. It's out there, and it's out there to be targeted and to be mined and to be used. For the most part, it's being done in a tactful way, but I think it just makes the advertisement come through more naturally. I mean, you can skip through commercials now. Can you imagine doing that 20 years ago? You're actually fed content on your smartphone that aligns with your lifestyle. So if I really love to jet ski, or I love to, go skydiving, I'm going to see content around products and carabiners and clips and rope and things and accessories that are part of that lifestyle, more than ever, versus just being fed an ad for shampoo, and that we were forced to these ads for different things that we had no connection to, because that was the only way to get a message out. The way that it's targeted today is just making it more and more natural. And that I think in 2 years, you won't know if something's an ad. The same way in 5 years, you won't know if something's AI. It's just going to be so normal and natural that you'll think, oh yeah, when you're at the store or on Amazon, you end up throwing something in your cart because you subliminally got the message 2 months ago and it stuck with you.
Yeah. So Ringo Fire does, marketing, advertising, PR nationally, but you said your Campfire is pretty much, it's the same idea, but Campfire's focus for local here in Greenville, or local for the upstate.
Yeah.
More or less.
Local for the upstate and built for small business.
Okay.
When the world went to hell and we did go through the pandemic and everything shut down, like I said, it was a milestone year for Ringo because our brands and products that we represented at hardware stores were essential. It was toilets and fixtures and rough plumbing and things that people still needed to buy. So those brands did pretty well. I mean, even the worst product on the shelf at Lowe's had its best year during the pandemic because everybody was buying everything. So our industry, when I say that, it's like hardware, home improvement, had a renaissance that year. It really hurt us 2 years afterwards because we had sold everything we had, and then we were trying to keep up with that momentum, and we saw the backside of the COVID mountain, and it just didn't pan out the way we wanted to. But what the story I'm getting at is that we had people knocking on our door locally here in Greenville who needed help reopening their restaurant, who wanted to convert their antique store to an e-commerce shop, who wanted to, get the word out that their pet spa was reopened. And we were turning people down because we were so focused on big brands and big campaigns and staying essential. And that was frustrating for me and a number of team members who live here or who grew up here. And it was just like, come on, guys, we live in Greenville. These are our people. This is our community. These are our neighbors. We can't turn them away. So I talked to my brother. I was like, let's start up a secondary agency and let's just, we'll call it Campfire. I don't care if it breaks even, if it loses money, or if we make it a nonprofit. We've got to do something to help local. And so that's how we started it. I mean, we essentially flipped it on overnight. We built a team. We bootstrapped it with Ringo and sort of incubated it internally. And the first 2 years were a little rocky, but we're in its fourth, going into fifth year now, and it's doing really, really well, helping a number of local business owners here in the upstate.
Well, I need to get you connected. I mean, if he needs the services, but he's doing well. So I'm really good friends with the owner of Blackwater Roasters in Seneca Coffee Shop.
Yep.
You know, and there's just a handful of people here in the upstate actually roasting coffee, and he's one of them.
Yeah.
And a great guy. Like, we're really good friends, and if he wants to do something, I'll get him your info. But here's a question for you, just so we can give kind of people I think to give people the idea of how it works and what it looks like on a practical level. Like, you know, my business.
Yeah.
You've seen what I've got, and I am, you know, a mobile cigar bar for hire, whether it's a wedding, a corporate event, a private party, or an oyster roast, a concert, or whatever. But let's just say I want to raise my brand awareness to the upstate and let people know that I'm here for you. I'm here to take your event from cool to memorable.
Yeah.
We're gonna plus it up. And I walk into the doors of Campfire and say, here's my business, here's what it looks like, here's what I want to have. I want to grow this thing. So what does that process look like when I sit down with whomever and he starts digging into the cigar box?
Yeah, the process is pretty casual. I mean, you as the business owner, and whoever that may be, whether you own the cigar box or you come in as a chef, or you come in as a seamstress, or you come in as you own a cleaning business, y'all are the professionals. We're not here to tell you how to do your job. You have a craft and a talent and a skill set that has allowed you to build a company and run a business. What we like to do is sort of just evaluate, look under the hood and say, what are all these other things we can do to help out so the chef can remain, attached and obsessed with his passion for cooking. And maybe that's like helping design the menu and updating the website and doing some things like creating content for social and making sure certain ads are running and targeting different demographics. If you're selling pizza till 2 a.m., are we getting it out to a crowd who's going to stay out late, who are going to want to come in? I mean, so we just love to plug in and do all those things that end up draining you and costing you all your time that you get upset, stressed with, to just say, all right, I can just do my thing. I can be a great plumber in the upstate. I can be, a great chef. I can be a great landscaper. Campfire will come in behind the scenes and make sure your website, your social, your digital, your ads, your content, your branding are all looking just as good as you are at your craft, so that you just kind of amplify your business and grow from there.
No, that's great, man. Yeah, I just need to save up some money to make that happen.
Well,
because I really need.
We can meet you at your budget. We can start small, and if anything, we do these things called a lunch and learn. And it's on us. By the way, you come in for a 2-hour session. We'll provide some food, and we'll just talk shop and get to learn about your business. And we'll come back with some suggestions on different tiers and ways that we can help. But it's no pressure. I mean, we love to do that. It gets us away, just like you're doing today, to meet other business owners and learn about their pain points and ways that we might be able to help them. So it's educational. It's a two-way street, and no commitments. We don't tie anybody to contracts. I think all that's BS. We're just here to help. And that's been the concept from day one. I'm not a sales guy. I'm the crazy marketer. I'd give stuff away for free, but I know we wouldn't be here today if I did too much of that. But I just like to help people. And I think that's the tone and the character you'll see in both Ringo and Campfire. We say, every day, is the client happy? Like, a friend will forgive you, a client will fire you. And so you've got to just make sure the relationship's good, it's genuine, and we really are staying on our toes, wanting to help each day. Otherwise, we become any other agency in town who's just going to send you an inflated impressions report and quickly invoice you for your next month's bill. I think that's total BS.
Yeah. How often do y'all do the lunch and learn?
We do those regularly. We've got one today at 4:00 with a nonprofit here in town. So it's as frequent as somebody wants to pop over. We'll set.
Oh, it's not like it's just like on a per request basis.
It's kind of like a consultation. It's not
okay.
It's one-on-one. You reach out. Hey, I don't really know. I'm not sure about my budget. I don't really know what I need. I just know I need help. Then come on. Like, that's where we'll set up, a time with you and have some food, maybe have a cigar now, and talk shop.
Yeah. Well, this is probably a stupid question considering who I'm talking to, but I mean, it would seem to me like y'all might just on your end helping to generate business for, you would want to, do y'all advertise that? Like, for let's just say, you know, it's on the website or it's on social media. Hey, we're doing a lunch and learn. We've got 10 spots open.
Yeah.
10 people sign up and y'all do or is it too targeted to an individual to do something like that?
That's a great ask. I don't think we do that well enough, when we probably should do a little bit more of a campaign to put that out there. It's typically been word of mouth, or someone will call up or email through the Campfire website or the Ringo website and just say, hey, I'm interested. I don't really know. Again, I don't have a budget. I'm not really sure what I need to do. We'll welcome you in. And I don't think a lot of agencies will do that, because they don't, you know, they want to bill for the hour and they want to get you hooked on a plan. That's just not our way. And so, like I said, if anything, we're getting to spend some time with a business owner, learn a bit about them, learn about a new industry, and then hopefully offer up some ways to help and support them.
Well, that comes through, you know, this, having been an entrepreneur and everything you've done. And I know this, your time is valuable. And so I understand why other advertising agencies want to invoice you for the hour or two or whatever, because time is valuable and people don't like to work for free. However, whenever I hear somebody like you with your companies literally just trying to help a small guy, man, that's enormous. And that not only is it great business, but it builds repeat business.
Yeah, and I'm just here to show you a good time and to be a good host. But if we're not doing our job, if your business isn't growing, if we start working together and you're not seeing results pretty instantly, then we're not doing our job. But the whole purpose of that get together or that lunch and learn is really just, it's breaking bread. I mean, I'm the old Italian grandmother. You show up, whether I know you or not, I'm bringing out pasta and meatballs and lasagna and spaghetti. I'm just feeding you. And because that's what we do here. And again, that's what makes us very unique. I know that some people run their book of business by spreadsheets and numbers. I've built this thing on relationships, and whether that's been the best playbook or not, it certainly has helped us with our reputation, and it helps keep us grounded. And I do genuinely think and know that we've helped a lot of business owners. We get tons of incredible reviews and calls from people who say, you saved my salon, or you helped me, reopen at a time I didn't think I could. And we didn't have, money to pay for June's invoice, but you guys did it anyway. And we can't always do those types of things, but we're going to be the company that does that to help you when you need it, because at the end of the day, that was why we started Campfire. And so that specifically, when you look at a brand like Bosch or DeWalt or Makita, they've got millions of dollars carved out every year that they have to spend. And, it's baked into the budget. It's part of a plan. You've got to go out there and spend those dollars. When it's a small business, I mean, it's your money. You've got to decide between, paying your mortgage or paying your team at times. And I've been there. And so I think part of the reason we like to lead that way and serve and work that way is because, some of us have been in those situations ourselves.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. And my humble opinion is that building your business on relationships is far better than building it on spreadsheets.
Yeah.
But because you don't just gain businesses, you gain friends.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
You get a network.
Yeah, you get a network of people. And then after the quote unquote campaign with Campfire is done, you're still friends. And then you can wind up collaborating in bigger ways.
Yeah, we all have people in our life who we know are always trying to sell us something. I mean, we see them in the grocery store and we're dipping like, oh, crap, like so-and-so is going to come over here and try to, hook me on this life insurance or do this or do that. I don't want to be that person at all for anybody. And I think that, everyone has their opinion on how you should launch and build a company. I've just done it my way. I'd never studied or followed any kind of a, like I said, playbook or management book, or I never drafted a business plan. For me, it always started with the relationship. We throw events, we host parties, we have people over. And 9 times out of 10, that at some point will turn into something. And it may not be immediate and it may not be that person, but that person goes home, they'll talk to their neighbor happens to own a small business, so it's just all connected that way.
100%. I mean, that in my opinion, that's the way to get it done.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, and I'm like you in that way. Like I had a passion. I love cigars. I wanted to do something with them. I didn't know exactly what. My good buddy, who Jason Jansen,
Yep.
At Broadwater Shrimp was like, dude, just do a mobile cigar thing. And so that's what I did. But I didn't know the first thing about running a business. I didn't create a business plan.
Yeah.
It was just like, I like this. I'm going to do this. And then you learn as you go. And sometimes it's rough.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Just go for it.
You build the plane in the air. I think I'd always encourage like students to, that I talk to at Clemson to get out there and try an industry before you get obsessed with it. So for me, if like those 10 years of working in power tools and working in home improvement, I really did get to study that industry and know what I was doing before just starting an agency that supported hardware brands. A lot of folks come gung-ho right out of school with these big ideas, and they've got some money that they inherited, or they got a loan, or a venture capitalist sponsored them at a pitch contest. But then 6 months into it, they've crashed and burned because they were too obsessed with the spreadsheet. They weren't building relationships. They were focused on this crazy idea that they had, but they weren't willing to put in the time or kind of learn on the fly or on the spot. I think if I were to open a restaurant in the next couple of years, I would just go work for one of the restaurants downtown, even if it were 3 months or 6 months. Nobody should start something that they're not already, having some type of interest or experience in. I'm sure you smoked, plenty of cigars before you started the business, attended plenty of events, probably watched how other people did it, and then decided I'm going to do this. And building the plane in the air it's what I did. It sounds like it's what you're doing. I think it's the best concept because you do actually skin your knees and you do fall down and you don't have anyone to pick you up, and you do have to kind of learn like how to live in the jungle. And a lot of concepts do not run that path. And I think they're the ones statistically that just don't make it because you can have all the money and all the brains, but if you don't have like the willpower and the stamina and the determination, then it won't happen.
Yeah. 100. No, I agree with that. To your point, I did smoke my fair share of cigars before starting my cigar business.
Yeah.
And that makes sense, right? You did, but I wasn't certainly as knowledgeable then about cigars as I am now. And there's nothing that will. I think I've told this story before. I mean, there's nothing that will be a greater catalyst to you as a business owner than to be served up a nice plate of humility. Because I remember at one of my first events, because like I like cigars and I had a passion for them and I enjoyed smoking them, but I didn't know a ton about them.
Yeah.
And so I remember being there at my booth with all my cigars, and this guy walks up to me and says, "Hey man, I want you to point me out to a couple of your best Dominican cigars." And I was freaking clueless.
Yeah.
Had no idea. I just like,
yeah.
I just like cigars and that's why I'm here. And so I'm like, okay, all right. And like from a professional standpoint, looking back and even looking forward, it's like, okay, yeah, you probably should know that if you're going to be hawking cigars.
Yeah. But at that moment probably was the pressure you needed to to go that extra mile to kind of learn and study those things. I mean, had you not had that moment, you maybe just casually would have hawked cigars. But I think those moments happen for a reason. I remember early on with Ringo, I was pressed in a boardroom setting a number of times of like, tell me the ROI, give me the ROI. I'm going to give you, $2,000 for this media campaign. What's my return going to be? And I would clam up. I would freeze up because I was new to starting an agency. I didn't grow up thinking I was going to run an ad agency. I certainly enjoyed consumer goods.
Spinning records on Carnival.
I know. I was gonna be hosting foam parties at Myrtle Beach. No. So I think those reasons or those things also happen for a reason. Had I not been pressed so many times about those types of things myself, I wouldn't have gone home and stayed up all night just being obsessed and enamored with understanding to be able to then go back and just like knock it out of the water the next time it was asked.
Well, you have to. There are some things when it comes to being an entrepreneur and starting a business that you're just going to learn in trial by fire.
Yeah, for sure.
So like you said, being in a boardroom and people, jumping down your throat about their ROI, like you said, all right, I got to go home and I got to figure this out. Yeah. So that, because if you're in that situation, man, it's cutthroat. It's just blood in the water.
Yeah.
And they're going to see that you're not confident. You don't know what you're talking about.
Sure.
And you're in trouble.
Yeah. You've got to have a degree of confidence, even in those moments where you're not sure. I mean, I was determined to get in those boardrooms, and by goodness, we got ourselves in those rooms early on. So it was walking the walk, but then being able to talk the talk. And again, those types of experiences pushed me and pushed my team to figure stuff out. It was early on. I mean, we were trying to build an agency. We were excited about helping people. We loved photography and social media. But, someone would say, all right, well, we need to get this new leaf blower on the Ellen show. Can you do it? And in the moment, we're just like, yep. And we go back to the office and we're panicking like, all right, we've got 16 days until Father's Day. Client wants this leaf blower to be featured on the Ellen show. What the hell do we do? But we would stay up all night. We were contacting agents in LA. We were reaching out to friends. We actually figured it out, and we were able to get them a promotion of the product, not just on that show, but Price is Right and a couple other shows in the same time frame, because we just were like determined to do it. And we could have said no in that moment. We could have passed on it, but those were things we did in a very scrappy way early on that I think a lot of business owners need to want to do to push themselves to become, what they want to be.
Yeah. I learned that pretty early on. If somebody comes to you with your new business, whatever it is, and says, hey, I'm doing this, can you do X, Y, Z? And you don't know how to do it. The answer is, yeah, man, I can do that. And then you learn how to do it before the time.
Yeah.
You just get it done.
Yeah. We said yes to everything, really. I mean, because we were trying to stack a foundation. We were trying to bring checks into the mailbox. And if we didn't know how to do it, we were going to figure it out or find somebody who did. And that's just part of what you've got to do when, you're determined to build something. We could have stayed in our lane and stayed very focused to one or two services. I don't think we would have seen the growth we've seen today. And I've heard many, presenters and professors and other people and even parents and mentors, you got to know when to say no. You got to know when to say no. And I think we're kind of getting there now, but it's taken 9 years, because it was 8 years of saying yes to get, where we are today, to be able to prove to somebody and show somebody and get ourselves in an uncomfortable place. Part of growth is being comfortable with the uncomfortable. And so I appreciate those moments where something was thrown at us and we had no clue how to do it, but we said, yep, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, that turns around to be nothing but a confidence booster in yourself and in your abilities, so that when the next thing comes along that somebody says, hey, can you do this? And you're not sure, then yeah, I can make it happen.
Exactly.
And then you forge ahead, and then there's nothing that can replace in the entrepreneur. There's nothing that can. There's no substitute for confidence.
For sure.
You either have it, and if you don't have it, you have to make it, and you make it by doing things that you thought you couldn't do.
Exactly. Yeah. Or surrounding yourself by great people who can add that to the mix. And that was part of my lesson early on as well, as I knew I was the crazy creative. I wasn't the bookkeeper. I wasn't the mathematician. I wasn't the business law guy. I didn't know business operations. So there were all the reasons not to start the business. Because I was intimidated that I didn't know all these things, and you're told you got to know all these things. You got, a great CFO as a CEO. And I just, you hear this stuff and it sort of talks you back from the ledge. But I had a professor tell me, again, that's BS. You don't need to know any of that. Focus on what you're good at. Like if you're a chef, focus on making great meals. For me, it was be a host, be an entertainer, and have fun with these crazy marketing ideas, but go out and build that all-star team. I say this all the time. It's like, go find the Serena Williams of photography, go find the Michael Jordan of videography, go find, the Tony Stewart of graphic design. I don't know, that might be a bad analogy, but like if you build this group of rock stars, then you can do anything. And I just became obsessed with building a team. That was a lot of the fun of it for me early on, was just getting out there and meeting people and grabbing coffees and having a beer and having a cigar and getting to know people in the community to say, hey,
Yeah.
you want to come work here? Like you could play this position. It's yours. I'm hands off because I don't know anything about it.
Right.
I'm doing bookkeeping on a Post-it note. If you can come in and show me QuickBooks, then you're the CFO.
Right.
You know, and that's how we bootstrapped it.
Sure. Well, I remember watching this little clip of Quentin Tarantino talking about directing and just kind of that same idea that the director needs to know how to do this and how to do this. And he's like, no, he doesn't. And he said, if I am directing a scene and I want the lighting to look X, Y, or Z, he's like, I don't need to know shit about lighting. That's why I hire a lighting guy.
Exactly.
He needs, I know the look that I want it to, I know the look that I'm going for, and I have to tell him, and then it's his problem to make it happen.
Yeah.
So you as the business owner or CEO, whatever, you're the skipper, and you are outsourcing your weaknesses
for sure
to people who have the skills that you don't have, while you continue to steer the ship.
Yeah, and a lot of entrepreneurs hold on to that pride and they refuse to do that, and that's another way to just crash and burn. So I think early lessons for me, and this was one of them, was just be willing to build a team, know what you're great at, and be okay with others, owning certain roles. And I've got folks who've been with me here on the Ringo team now for 7-8 years, some of them from day one, who are owning their position because that's what I brought them in here for. And I recognize that it wasn't my strong suit, and they've helped elevate this campus year after year.
Yeah. So you, like you mentioned earlier, 10 years as marketing director, or I don't know if it was 10 years as marketing director, but 10 years in marketing for Ryobi, some of that time as director of marketing. And by the way, is Ryobi, are they exclusive to Home Depot?
They are. Yeah.
Okay.
It's been part of their claim is they've held an exclusive partnership with the Home Depot, but they've become the largest consumer power tool brand in the world.
I'm headed there after this podcast because I'm set up for July 3rd and 4th for the city of Easley, and I want one of those little clip-on fans.
Oh, yeah. I think they've got like 7 of them now. When I was there, we had one fan in the mix that worked off of that 18-volt power tool battery.
Yeah.
And that we were proud to say that we've got this one battery that operates, up to 40 tools. I think today it's over 200 tools.
Yeah.
And 3 or 4 of them are fans. And now they've got all this lifestyle product and camping and lighting. And it's amazing what they've done with that battery and the technology. But part of it's due to their relationship with the Home Depot.
Yeah, absolutely. So at 10 years there, and then obviously what you're doing with Ringo and Campfire. And then you talk about some of your students, and we can get into that in the next section. But I wanted to ask you, this is obviously something you would talk about in the classroom. As if somebody's listening to this podcast thinking about starting a business, branding obviously is very important.
Yeah.
But before they pull the trigger on their idea, like, what should they be thinking about in terms of how they want their company to be presented to the public?
Yeah, I think that's again a wonderful question, and it's how you want to be portrayed, how you want to be recognized and remembered. For us, it was about hosting and relationships. So from day one, we made that experience incredible. But that may not be for everybody, and I don't expect every entrepreneur to have that, eccentric, like outgoing, like mindset. We're not all built that way. We're not all wired that way. There are some really, really incredible, like entrepreneurs who are independent and they don't necessarily need the team. They don't have to be outgoing. But for us, we sort of set the tone, or I helped set the tone, from the paper in the classroom to the presentation to actually filing the LLC, that I was going to build a company that helped people, because that's what I liked to do. And I didn't grow up thinking I was going to own an ad agency. I could have franchised a Subway. I could have opened an HVAC shop. I just knew that I enjoyed helping people. When I was a DJ, I would stand in the DJ booth, and I knew I was doing my job if I looked out into the crowd and I saw people smiling and having a good time. You know you're doing a crap job if you look out and the dance floor is empty, or if people look upset about the song you just played.
Right.
So for me, it was always about like looking out into the boardroom, looking out into the classroom, looking out into, you know, the event or the festival to see, like, are people enjoying the experience or the campaign or the moment I've created? If so, I'm doing my job. And that was it for me. I just needed to be able to create a concept that gave people some joy in the form of helping them sell their products, building their business, assisting with their branding. And I think you just have to decide, you know, what is it that you really want to do for yourself and really want to do for others? Does it bring a true solution? Like, does it solve a problem? Or is it just like a pet project? Because if it's about you, then that needs to just stay a hobby. But if it's something that's really going to solve a problem or bring some solution to somebody or some product or some place, then that's where you just got to start to pull the blueprint together to say, this is how I want to do it. This is what I want to be known for. And this is how I want to be remembered. And so I know that sounds like a little bit cheesy and cliche, but that was it. That was it for us.
No, man, I think that was a great piece of advice right there, that if it's about you, it should just stay a hobby.
Yeah.
It really should.
Yeah.
Because you're not out to serve people.
Yeah.
If it's about you.
Exactly.
You know, and I'm listening to you talk, and I'm trying to think about how do I rate my success with the cigar box? Because it's not going to be that. It's not going to be are people happy and smiling and enjoying, because everybody that comes to see me, they're, number one, they're at some kind of party anyway, and nobody's coming to get a cigar and they're all cheesed off about something. Everybody's happy anyway. So I'm trying to figure out in my mind what are the metrics by which I should measure my success.
Yeah. I mean, like, you could love boating, but that doesn't mean you need to open a boat shop or a boat rental place, because you're going to have people that complain. You're going to have unhappy customers, and you have to be in a position to be okay with that and to want to fix that and to want to resolve that. So that's kind of where it becomes like, you know, is this a concept that I just enjoy as a human to be a hobby, or do I want to make this a business because I'm willing to create a solution, and I'm going to open a boat rental that's mobile friendly, and I like to help people, and it's touchless, and they can show up and return the boat with a QR code scan. And, you know, so that's where it becomes like, all right, you should open this business. You love boating, you understand the industry, you have a cool concept, it brings a solution. Yeah, go do it. It will succeed if you don't give up. Versus somebody that just really enjoys it and has the confidence and the ego to think that they could fire it up and be successful without really wanting to help others.
Yeah, sure. Before the show, because I know, and you've already mentioned, you have Launchpad X, you're developing product and selling directly to Lowe's, and you've got, I think you said, like 16 products on the shelf in the stores, but you're also seeing, I think, some big shifts in retail.
Yeah.
So yeah, like opine on that for us a little bit, or maybe not opine. That's not the right word. Extrapolate.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, consumers don't shop the way they used to, but consumers still spend, and we're still obsessed with new things and products and categories. And it's just part of it for Ringo is evolving and meeting the consumer where they're at. So serving them ads on their phone, finding things that are, you know, e-commerce friendly. How do you ship something directly to somebody's doorstep? You know, eliminating the traditional method of having to go search for something in a store, having it pulled down from the overhead, standing in a line to check out, to then have to maybe go back and return it. I mean, just the way we shop is different today. And so with Launchpad X, it's a product development company. I've started with another business partner. It's now two other business partners who were former colleagues of mine in the power tool space over at TTI. eye, but we're looking to bring things to market that are user-friendly, user-intuitive, and have a bit of innovation to them. We work exclusively with Lowe's. We think that Lowe's is sort of on the forefront of evolving the shopping experience. They just launched their influencer and creator network. They're shipping things now through Instacart, so you can get, a toolbox within an hour if you need it on the job site, or a replacement light bulb within 30 minutes if you need it at an Airbnb. So they are really advancing and finding new ways to connect with the consumer of this on-demand society that we live in. I mean, we want things when we want them, and we don't want to talk to anybody. We don't want you knocking at our door. We don't want to speak to somebody on the phone. I mean, and that sounds terrible, but it's just the way that the world is.
Well, that was smart of them, because if you're in construction and you're working on a job site, you don't want to have to stop what you're doing to go to Lowe's. It's going to cut an hour out of your work time when you can just hop on your phone and get what you need, and Instacart will bring it out, and you can keep working.
Yeah, time is money. I mean, I just moved into a new house, and I've got neighbors on either side of me who, third and fourth generation. They've been around for a bit. They're beautiful, wonderful people, but I think they're very confused at the amount of packages and deliveries that I get. They probably think that I'm running drugs, because so many different cars pull up at any given time during the day or night, and they're dropping off. I'm ordering plants online. I'm getting food delivered to the house. I'm ordering clothes and things from Amazon and other direct to consumer experiences. So that's just kind of the new world order of consuming goods, and that will continue to move forward at the speed of light, to a point where I think in 5 years you won't really go into a store to shop, and if you do, you won't interact with a human being, and that probably sounds like scary or sad or depressing or upsetting to some people, but that's just where we're headed. And so you either are willing to sort of adapt to it and learn to utilize some of this technology, or you'll wake up and realize that you're in a whole new dimension.
Yeah, absolutely. So what products do you have on the shelves, man?
We've got everything from misting and cooling products. You see some of these fans out here in the patio. Your listeners might be able to hear them, not see them, but we've got cooling, misting, items and plumbing for cleaning. A lot of the stuff we're launching today are things that you attach to a drill. So you use the power of your drill to power the product. So we just launched a pressure washer attachment that you can connect to your drill like you would a drill bit, and the battery and the drill power and the drill motor actually power the pressure washer. So all you do is drop a hose into a bucket or connect it to a garden hose. And so we're turning things like
so you don't have to go out and buy a power washer.
You don't have to go buy a power washer for $300. For $49, you can buy this Roto power cleaner that we're selling at Lowe's and attach it to any drill and utilize it as a high pressure power washer. And so
everybody has a drill.
Exactly. Everyone does. And 15 years ago, they didn't. But today, everybody has a cordless drill. It's almost a common household product like a plunger or a toaster. And so we're designing items that will fit on your drill to make things cheap and easy and convenient and innovative for the homeowner and for the pro. So it's a grill brush. It's a power cleaner. We're coming out with water pumps and transfer pumps and all kinds of other things that we're looking at now in lighting and decor that, just help save time or money or efficiency, easy to install. Like, those are the trends that are in right now. We don't want to wire in a ceiling fan anymore. We want to just be able to connect it to the ceiling and turn it on with our phone. And it's those types of products that are winning, because Gen Z and millennials are the largest consumer buying force on the planet. And if you look at what's coming behind Gen Z and the alpha crowd, I mean, they won't know what to do beyond purchasing, items right off the phone and having them easy to install. And anyway, it's just all about adaptability. The world used to shift every 10 years. Today, it changes every 10 weeks. And some people are staying on board. Others are getting lost at sea.
You mentioned, I don't know if this was just an example or if it's actually something in the works, a ceiling fan that you just plug in.
Exactly.
That's a real thing?
It is, and it's something we're working on. We're looking at items that are traditionally causing people a bit of a headache or intimidating, and rethinking electrical outlets and dimmer switches and ceiling fans.
I don't know how many ceiling fans I've installed
that we all want to have the latest and greatest, but none of us want to deal with the installation or hiring an electrician to come do it. I mean, because we want it and we want it now and we want it to be easy and we want to show it off on Instagram and have our friends over. And so, yeah, we're looking at ways that you can literally just like, pull and stick and seal something to a ceiling, and it could change colors, and it can play sounds, and it can filter the air, and it can do all these things that a ceiling fan didn't. I think we are obsessed with looking at products that have been around for 100 years and saying, why hasn't anybody done anything?
Right.
A ceiling fan, an ironing board, a ladder. Like, there's a lot of cool things you can do to innovate these products that have been here for 100, 200 years that nobody's even thought of.
Yeah. Maybe you can't talk about this because it's in development, or it's, proprietary, whatever, but feel free to take a pass on it. Because I used to, years and years ago, I was an electrician's apprentice, and I gained enough knowledge to do most of the basic things that you need to do around the house without having to hire an electrician, which is nice.
Yeah.
So if you got a ceiling fan, right? I mean, you've got the junction box in this end, you've got your hot, your neutral, and your ground, and then you buy a ceiling fan from Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever, and so you're going to make those connections. So if you're going to come out with a product like a ceiling fan that you just kind of stick it up there, and like, how are you handling on the back end whenever you have the loose wires?
Yeah,
that need the connection. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, we're you just cover or seal that hole, but and you're literally just hanging it like you would, a picture or something else, because it's running off of lithium battery technology.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
right.
So
it's
that's
a battery powered fan.
We're powering it with a battery. So that same battery that powers your drill. Many companies, by the way, are looking for ways that battery can power your house. Solar's a big thing. Gas and electric will always be great things, but the rise of lithium powered products in a home, like smart products, is it's already here. I talked about Ryobi going beyond tools and having all these lifestyle products, and they're not always going to be lithium green. They're going to start to see these products in other colors, I'm sure, and other features and other brands, but it's going to just make stuff really easy to install.
Yeah.
Even like, a chandelier or some canister lights over a bar, or if you're building out a man cave, there's technology in magnets now. There's technology in adhesive where you can really just stick it there and put it on a battery. And by the way, you're not having to change that battery because the lithium cells today are so powerful that a 4-volt battery could run a light for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So
just curious with and it may be a while ago, so I don't know that you have the connections you used to, but having been with Ryobi, did y'all try to get Launchpad into Home Depot? So you're working with Lowe's?
Well, I started Launchpad with some former employees 2 years ago who worked with me over at TTI and Ryobi, and we had a hell of an experience there in a really cool way. I mean, we got to launch all kinds of new products, and we became obsessed with that. When I was at TTI or Ryobi, TTI is Tektronix Industries. They're kind of the mothership that owns all the different brands, Ryobi being one of them. But when I was there, we had an opportunity from Home Depot to say, we're ready for something totally outside of the box. Can you guys bring us a new idea that's going to just drive some sales in a new category that isn't tools? And so we took the challenge. We brought it internal. We had a kickoff across the entire company where we had this like virtual whiteboard session, and it wasn't just the product development team and the engineers. I mean, we opened this thing up to customer service and accounting, and anybody could throw an idea out there. I had a crazy concept of, a fan that sat on a bucket. And the bucket, by the way, they call it the Homer bucket. The bucket at Home Depot and the bucket at Lowe's, those are staple products. You see that thing in every aisle, and it's not just at the end of every aisle. It's all throughout the store. And 1 in every 3 people leave the store with a bucket. And so I just was thinking, like, the bucket's such a staple product. What if we came up with something that attached to it? And we're trying to think outside of tools. So what if it were lifestyle? What could you put in the bucket? Okay, let's put water in there and drop a fan and a tube over top of it and use the battery to siphon the water through it. And so I drew this thing, like it was like napkin sketch kind of an idea. I took a picture of it. I uploaded it to this virtual board, and it got enough votes internally to win. And so then we had the design team kind of mock it up. We pitched it to Home Depot, and they loved it. And that's how Ryobi introduced misting to the Home Depot back in 2012. And we built a line of products around that. We created its own brand name called Arctic Cove, and it was fun for me. I got my name on the patent. I received some recognition. I never got any like royalties because ultimately the corporation owned me, so they owned the product. But it was still nonetheless a very cool experience. Fast forward to me starting Ring of Fire and building things out here. As an entrepreneur, I had a buddy at Lowe's come to me and say, "Hey, what you guys did for Home Depot and misting, can you do that for Lowe's?" I called up some employee buddies of mine, and we just started dreaming up and thinking up, okay, what can we do that's not going to infringe on the patent, that's not going to get us in trouble, but like, what could we do to bring this category over to Lowe's? And that was the creation of LPX. That was, we were able to source and find and manufacture some things and bring misting to Lowe's. And so that's how we've built that program out over the years. And it was inspired by that moment we had with Home Depot.
Yeah. All right, man. One more thing. We'll head to the next section, but you're also in, with Millie Lewis? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and that is an agency for casting talent, actors, models, that kind of thing. And as I mentioned to you before the show, I wish I'd known about that because I just recently signed with a talent agency out of Raleigh, North Carolina. Like I said, that's like a 4-hour haul to get up there.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get up there much. Of course, you know, an agency books you for wherever.
For sure.
You know, I mean, she just sent me a thing that she got me booked for today that's shooting July 19th. So
yeah,
that's really cool. You know, I'm on the way, but it would have been nice to have something like
right here. Yeah. Yeah. So Millie Lewis is a model talent agency that's been here in the upstate, by the way, for 40 years. It was owned by George and Barbara Carell. Many folks in the upstate know this couple because they're so admired and so adored. When I was at TTI or Ryobi, we were utilizing Millie Lewis for all of our Home Depot commercials and our Ryobi photography. And so I got to build a relationship with them. When I started Ringo, I started utilizing Millie Lewis for a lot of my clients' photo and video. And ultimately, within the past couple of years, Ringo became Millie Lewis's biggest account. I mean, we were booking models left and right. I had built such a relationship with the owners. They got to a point of, kind of casually mentioning that they were ready to retire, that they really didn't know what to do with the business. And half jokingly at one point over dinner said, well, if we did do anything, we'd want to sell it to you, Brian. And we kind of just laughed about that. And I didn't really take it too seriously until the next day or that next weekend. And I remember emailing George back and said, hey, if you were serious about that, can we talk some more? Because I'm intrigued. And over the course of about a year or two, my brother and two other business partners and I, ultimately, we acquired the business, and it's fully operating right now. We've got an incredible team member. Her name's Kayla, who's kind of running it day to day, and it continues to grow. It continues to book, but yeah, it's producing great content for brands. It's right here in Greenville. Yeah. We do spots nationwide, but we do host and shoot and film a lot of stuff here in the Southeast. But yeah, as if I need another thing to do. I think that's part of you get into this entrepreneurial mindset, and it just becomes an addiction. I mean, I wake up and I go to the coffee shop and I write down, 10 new business ideas. And I've just got these logs in my iPhone notes of crazy concepts. And in the moment, I'm just obsessed with it. And then the next day I forget about it. But I think that's part of always wanting to do something more and do something different.
You really do. I created my cigar company and got my real estate license at the same time. And then I really wanted to do this podcast. And so I figured out a way to make it happen. And then I met a guy who's an actor, lives out near Hollywood, and he's been a friend and a coach. And I just decided, with my look and my beard and everything, I'm like, I can do this. I believe I have the talent for it. So I signed up for that, and now I'm booking stuff. I was a contestant on episode 2 of season 2 for the 1% Club. That's and I've done a few other things, and I'm getting some bookings now. And in fact, when I was creating my profile, 8 months ago, and I was doing my own research, I came across the Millie Lewis, but I saw that she was retiring the company, and I wasn't sure if the company was going to continue, so I didn't even bother reaching out to them. Yeah, and so it's a funny conversation now. So I don't know, if things just don't work out with where I'm at, I'll call. I'm going to call you.
Let's take a look at that contract. We'll get.
It's a very simple contract.
Yeah,
But anyway.
No,
So,
I love it.
yeah.
And I want to evolve it. And I think there's ways to innovate it, like all things. And the couple did a great job running it for 40 years. I think our mission now is to take it the next 40 and see what we can make of it. And we're going to have to adapt to the times and digitize it and incorporate influencers and maybe start working with some college athletes who are looking to network with brands early on in their career. But that's part of the fun in acquiring something like that.
Yeah. And, you know, they told me, they're like, we see you, like, they want me to do acting and modeling, but especially they're like, you and your look for brand advertising. And my thing was, especially if it's like, you know, outdoors, most definitely if it's winterized, Carhartt, you know, outdoor, like Magellan or whatever, anything motorcycle related.
Oh, we would book you left and right here. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking job site construction,
Yes.
grilling, chilling. Yeah, it would be good.
All right, man. Pressure.
Yeah.
Pressure. So, hey, look, speaking of all that stuff, as I mentioned before, I am a realtor with local brokerage Sedan Joiner. I'm also a member of Nexus Group. And if you are ready to make a real estate move in Greenville, South Carolina, I'm your guy. I want to get you the best deal in the least amount of time with the least amount of disturbance to your life. I will give you a focus on personal service without flashy realtor nonsense. Let's find your place together in the upstate area of South Carolina. Call me today, 864-207-2316, or visit my website, Chris Strother, that's STROTHER, chrisstrother.sedanjoiner.com. I know that you, because I've been a part of a couple of them, I know that you love to produce and host events. You know, that probably goes all the way back to like DJ days, just all that partying. You labeled it's kind of your side hustle, but I feel like in the world you live in, maybe that line's a little amorphous, you know, and just kind of to blending and all of that. Like, I mean, Hardware Huddle, there's a big sign right here. People won't see it. It's painted on the wall, but so Hardware Huddle, you know, Shrimp Fest, all that stuff. I mean, it's personal, but it also runs through Ringo, or I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, again, look where we're sitting. This is a mill that was built in 1920. It was Southern Weaving. They produced seatbelt They were the manufacturers of seatbelts and seatbelt material and straps. For the Ford Motor Company. And right here where we're sitting is sort of the hub. You had the loading dock, the weigh station, the conductor's office, the train tracks are right here. So much material passed through this space. Over 100 years, that business operated here. And it's just such a unique property, and nobody knows it's out here, or at least they didn't until, you know, the past couple of years, because it's kind of grown in and it's got a fence around it. But once you pop in here, it's like the Magic Kingdom for rednecks, and I love it. It's so cool. We have a blast out here. I mean, you talk about bonfires and jam sessions and food trucks and just grilling, and you know, we'll put out a big pool in the summertime and lighting cigars around the fire pit. I mean, it's a fun place to work, but it's also a great place to host. So we have such a good time throwing events out here. We've got the parking, we've got the facilities, it's gated off. We work with the local authorities and usually have an off-duty officer out here. So it's a safe and fun environment for a variety of events. And it just started to bug me early on that we were here from 8 to 5, and then this place sat dormant in the evenings and on the weekends. And we were just like, what could we do? Like, we've got this incredible shell or this space. Let's start having, festivals and trade shows and concerts. And so that's what we're doing now. And you can find the event venue. We call it the Factory because one of the buildings is the old factory, but the Factory GVL. So if you look up, go to that URL, the Factory GVL, or on social, Factory GVL, you'll see the event space and how you could potentially, book it for a private event, or you can follow along on what events we have coming up, like Shrimp Fest in September 13th.
Oh, you're moving it back this year.
Yeah, September. It was so hot last year. Shrimp was cooking on the pavement, and you didn't even need a grill. So we pushed it back to Saturday, September 13th. It should be nice and cool.
I'll check my calendar.
And I'm looking forward to it. It's a shrimp only festival just for the shrimp lovers out there. We got 15 restaurants that participate from the upstate. The chef comes in, prepares their signature shrimp dish, and it turns into just a fun party with live music and hopefully the cigar box as well.
Yeah, man. I'm down for it. I'm
Yeah.
100% down for it. Absolutely. I remember doing the first one a couple of years ago, and it was blazing hot then
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
But anyway, it won't take me as much work now then because I have my trailer instead of that. But
Yes.
like I said, I was just getting started.
Yeah.
And I was super disappointed because a month from tomorrow was supposed to be Neon Noir
Yeah.
with True Line, which sounded like a banger of an event from like, I love that late from like 8 p.m. to midnight, neon lights everywhere. And they were talking to me about, they wanted to make a whole, he said, we want to do a whole cigar lounge area and hire a guy just to play the saxophone.
Yeah.
Right there in
you.
the cigar lounge for, I'm like, dude, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah, the event's still going to happen. We're pushing it back. We're looking again into like one of the cooler months. The timing just wasn't right, but those guys at True Line, they're visionaries. They've got big ideas. That truly was going to be like a mashup of Burning Man in Vegas at midnight out here. Just a fun, different, eclectic event. We're still very hopeful and planning to pull it off. But we were going to have people swinging from the rafters, circus acts, magicians, fire dancers. We had a tattoo artist lined up. And so we just, like some events, you just got to pivot based on certain things that are happening.
Yeah.
But we're still excited to pull that off later in the year.
Just need a little more time.
Exactly.
To pull some things together.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's hard to get a petting zoo last minute.
Yeah. That's funny. All right, man, just a couple more things and we can wrap it up. I'm sure you've got stuff to do, but you grew up, as you said, in North Carolina. And then, so you mentioned you were, when you were working for Ryobi, were you living in Anderson?
I was, yeah.
You weren't living in Atlanta.
Correct. When I started with Ryobi and calling on the Home Depot, my first job out of undergrad, I was in Atlanta. So I drove down to Atlanta. I got that interview, landed the job. They stationed me down there as a rep. I had 10 stores in the Atlanta market, from Buckhead to Brookhaven to the Vinings to Marietta. But I was in that area for about a year. And then when I was promoted to the corporate level with Ryobi, moved up to Anderson, which is where their corporate office is, and spent a few years living and working there.
So you can't go anywhere in Atlanta without being inundated with Atlanta Braves.
Yeah.
Are you a baseball guy?
I'm not a huge baseball guy. The reason I do follow baseball is that my brother and I grew up, and he was very good friends with these guys. But we grew up and going to the same high school as the Seager brothers. So Kyle and Corey Seager, who have been phenomenal MVPs and champions in the baseball space, have always followed them. But my brother Michael was good friends with both of them growing up. I was a few years older, but that sort of has kept me following, or did keep me following. I think they've both retired at this point or close to it. But that's been fun. I was a NASCAR guy.
Tony Stewart.
In Concord. Yeah. I used to like dress as Tony Stewart for Halloween, even as an adult. I grew up in Concord. I went to high school with a lot of the drivers' kids. I lived around a lot of the drivers. We had our neighbor as well at the time was Jeff Green. He used to race for Childress. My brother and I used to watch his dogs every weekend when he would be out racing. And so we just became obsessed with motorsports. And even today, fast forward, we've worked with Kenny Wallace and a couple of drivers as influencers for some of the brands that we represent. We're still, NASCAR obsessed and motorsports obsessed with products and lifestyle work that we do.
Nice. So what brought you from Atlanta to Greenville?
Atlanta to Anderson, and then Anderson to Greenville. What brought me to Greenville was the Clemson MBA program. Their MBA school is downtown Greenville.
Okay.
So they've got a portion of that program that's just right downtown in the middle of the city. And so when I decided to go back to school, the class was held there. It was downtown more frequently. I was making the trip back and forth, which isn't too bad, but just became obsessed with the city and just thought, boy, this is when I decided to start my own business. And once I got into that program, I just really didn't want to leave Greenville. I just saw the opportunity, and I'm really glad I did it, because I don't think I could have repeated what I've done here in like a Charlotte or Atlanta. It had swallowed me up. I think that I hit it at the right time, and that window of opportunity is still open here, by the way, where you're not a number. Greenville's a place where there's community here. There's different pockets of interest here. There's arts and culture and innovation and tech, and it's not so noisy that you become, drowned out. So it's a good space and a place to start a business, because you can go to a business after hours or a meetup with other entrepreneurs and it just be very personal versus like being in a brewery with 300 people.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to ask you why you thought Greenville was such a ripe spot for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
You just answered it. So what would be the challenge? What's the challenge for doing that same thing, like you said, in Charlotte or Atlanta? Like, why would it have swallowed you up?
Yeah, I think it's a bit oversaturated. I think you get to a bigger city, you really got to be going out guns blazing with a lock and stock idea that's unlike any other. I think you have a little bit more of a runway in a smaller town as far as building it through networking and building it through support.
Yeah.
I think you get too caught up in a place like Charlotte, Atlanta, Miami, New York, Chicago, you could easily get swallowed up.
Yeah.
And that can deflate you in an instant. So even if you're in those areas, it's not to knock them. It's just saying like, okay, if you're in Charlotte, start your business in Huntersville or Concord. If you're in Atlanta, check out Alpharetta, because these places, by the way, will soon be part of those towns if they aren't already. But at least you're going to have a little bit more of like breathing room and space and a place with people you can network with and bounce ideas off of, versus just trying to, flip open, a cigar shop downtown Atlanta overnight. I mean, you're going to have it. I imagine that would be incredibly intense versus looking 50 miles outside of the city to really sort of get entrenched in a community or a neighborhood and build it from there. I had a guy reach out to me recently who's trying to be the king of pressure washing in South Carolina, but he can't get any business. I was like, well, why you're trying so hard and too hard to be the person for the state and you're just getting started. I was like, why don't you be the guy for your neighborhood? Like, why don't you just start there and then be the guy for Malden, and then from there maybe be the guy for the upstate? But my goodness, you gotta accomplish those 3 levels before you get to like being the king of pressure washing in South Carolina. So part of it is just sort of understanding the path to take and the place to make it.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. Great advice. All right, man. Well, let's wrap this up. We'll get you out of here. And a couple of things I want to ask you. I know you didn't get to smoke as much as I did because you're the guest, so you talk a lot more than I do.
It's okay.
But what did you think about the Toronto Domenico?
I think it's going to be a new favorite. I'm going to save this wrapper and I'm going to either order some online or visit a local shop and try to get some more, because as like I said,
you can just get them from me.
You know what? I'm going to just get them from you. That's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. I could probably buy a box today before you leave. This is something that I appreciate you introducing me to, because it didn't pack too much of a like a bold hit, and I can confidently just pop back in after a little bit of mouthwash and jump right into a team meeting. And I think I'm going to be, have some, added fuel for the rest of the day that I used to utilize like a shot of espresso or coffee for. So I love that, that little extra punch that it gives you, but it's not too much. So it's perfect.
It's a nice chill cigar. And I can probably find them maybe in a little bit smaller size. I'd have to look. But if the Robusto is a little much. EP Carrillo New Wave, great cigar, mild, but has a little punch in it because it's got Nicaraguan tobacco. Now that you've been on the podcast, you know how it rolls, you know the vibe. Who's a couple of people locally you think I should have on as a guest?
Oh, that's a great question. I would, I don't know if you've talked to Mayor Knox, but I think he'd be an incredible guest. And people think he's intimidating or hard to get a hold of, but you could literally shoot him an email, and within a day or two, he replies. He's that kind of person.
Okay.
So I think that would be a wonderful guest to have in the future, just to talk about, the city that he and his team have built and the direction that they're taking it in. And he's such a genuine and humble person, despite your politics. He really, I think like myself, just likes to look out and make sure people are having a good time. And so that being one of them. Another lady that comes to mind is Gail DePriest, and she is so influential, not just with Clemson as a professor, but as a community leader and a volunteer and a supporter here in town. She has helped coach and train and inspire so many professionals, so many entrepreneurs, never takes any credit, is incredibly humble. And I think those would be the two people that I would reach out to.
What is she a professor of?
She teaches at the MBA program downtown Clemson, and she does a lot of creativity and like mindfulness and team building and teamwork skills. She teaches a lot of great general courses that are good for any business owner. It's sort of like a fundamental or foundational class to just get you inspired, how to think outside of the box, how to build a team, how to inspire others and be resilient in tough times. And I learned so much from her.
That'd be a great episode.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look her up. I'll tell her she sent me. Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
She's in me. Cool beans. All right. Look, well, you guys get on Instagram, get on Facebook or wherever. I mean, head to ringofire.com and you can find, I'm sure, everything you need to.
Definitely.
Everything you can find there on their website and all their socials. Look, if you're in need of my services as a realtor or with the Cigar Box, reach out to me directly at 864-207-2316. You can also visit mobileCigarBox.com. And you can send me an email about real estate to cstrother at cdanjoyner. You've been listening to Sunday Afternoon Smokes. I appreciate it. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it on your socials. Share it with the world, because Sunday Afternoon Smokes is really sweet. Brian, thanks for your time. I totally enjoyed it. It was a great time.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. It's my pleasure, and I look forward to doing more with you in the future. Thanks for what you're doing.
Absolutely. Definitely want to come to a lunch and learn.
Yeah.
And blast that out there, man. Do a big one. I'm sure y'all could help a lot of people around here and gain you some new business at the same time.
We will.
So, all right, lunch and learn at Ringo Fire. Thanks, everybody. We will talk to y'all very soon.